Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Dove here, and today in our other areas of learning I'd like us to think about growing. So we're going to have a think about that and a talk about it. Now, first thing I'd like you to do is turn to the person that you're watching the video with and tell them what you think growing means. Might want to pause it just for a few seconds. Okay, well, growing is the natural process that living things go through. So living things are like us, like your animals, your pets, the plants in the garden, the trees, those things. And as living things, naturally we develop and we grow, which means we're going to get bigger. We're going to get bigger maybe height-wise, get taller. We might get bigger width-wise. We might get heavier. And things about us, our physical features, change. We don't stay the same. As time goes on, things about us change and we become different. We look different. The appearance of us looks different. So I know that some of you have pets. So when you got your puppy, your dog probably doesn't look the same anymore. They're probably quite a bit bigger. And I know that some of you have been planting and growing vegetables in your gardens. So you would have started off with a tiny little seed and planted it and looked after it, and over time they've been growing. And I know some of you have been measuring the height of sunflowers or tomato plants, that kind of thing. So let's have a think about just the last few weeks since we've not been coming to school. I bet lots of you have changed quite a lot. I think there's probably quite a few of you that have got taller. I think there's probably some of you that have got longer hair. I know my hair's definitely got longer. And I think maybe some of you, maybe your school shoes don't fit you anymore and your feet have got bigger. Maybe you've heard your grown-up saying, oh, none of your clothes fit you anymore. I know I've been saying that because my daughter's definitely had a growth spurt. She's got a lot taller and none of her clothes from last summer fit her. I wonder if any of you have had a visit from the tooth fairy. Some of you might have started to lose your baby teeth, and that's making room for your big adult teeth. Believe it or not, we've had the tooth fairy visit 4 times over lockdown. So she's been very busy, and I wonder if she's been visiting your house too. Before we start to think about it lots more, I'd like to share a story with you. So get comfy, and I hope you enjoy this story. So here's the story I'd like to share with you. It's called The Growing Story, and that's by Ruth Krause, and it was illustrated by Helen Oxenbury. Okay, a boy and a puppy and some chicks were all very little. Summer was coming. Buds grew on the trees, the grass began to grow. On the side of the barn, flowers began to grow. The little boy said to his mother, "Everything is growing. The grass is growing, the flowers are growing, the trees are growing." He asked her, "Will the chicks grow?" "Of course," his mother replied. He asked her, "Will the puppy grow?" "Of course," his mother replied. He asked her, "Will I grow too?" "Of course you'll grow too," his mother replied. The days grew longer, the nights grew shorter, the grass grew faster, the flowers grew higher, Leaves grew big on the trees. The little boy said to the puppy and the chicks, "We're growing too." You can see the leaves are starting to go on the trees. The air was growing warmer. The little boy and his mother planted corn seeds in the field, and his mother said, "We'll put away your warm woolen clothes. When summer is over, you'll put them on again." There they are planting. They folded up his warm trousers and put them away in a box. They folded up his warm coat and put them away in a box. The little boy climbed on a chair and put the box on a shelf. The corn grew, blossom grew on the orchard trees, lilacs bloomed by the barn. The chicks grew taller, the puppy grew taller. The little boy said, "You both grew taller." He said to his mother, "They both grew taller. I don't feel taller." He asked her, "Am I growing too?" "Yes, of course," his mother replied. You can see the lovely blossom on the tree there. The honeysuckle bloomed, the roses bloomed, the corn grew as high as a man. The pears were ripening, the chicks grew still taller again. The puppy grew still taller again. The little boy went alone and sat by the side of the barn. He looked at the grass and the flowers. He looked at the trees and the corn. He looked at the puppy and looked at the chicks. He said, "Everything is still growing. I can see they're growing." He asked, "Can I really be growing too?" The chicks aren't really chicks anymore, are they? They're more like chickens. Summer was growing to its end. The ripe pears fell. The days grew shorter. The nights grew longer again, and the grass grew slower again. There they are, picking up the pears. When the leaves grew red and yellow and brown, summer was over. The corn was over. No flowers bloomed on the side of the barn. The chicks had grown up. The chicks were chickens. The chickens were nearly up to the little boy's middle. The puppy had grown up. The puppy was a dog. The dog was nearly up to the little boy's head. And the little boy looked at the chickens and the dog. "You have both grown up. I haven't grown up. I'm still little," the little boy said. The air had grown colder. The little boy's mother said, "We'll take out your warm woolen clothes and put them on again." The little boy climbed on the chair and took down the box from the shelf. They took out his warm trousers from the box and unfolded them. And they took out his warm coat from the box and unfolded it. There they are, getting his clothes ready. The little boy put on his warm trousers again and looked in the mirror. What do you think he could see? Shall I show you the picture? He had grown after all. "My trousers are too tight. The legs are too short," he said. He put on the warm coat again and looked in the mirror. "My coat is too tight. The sleeves are too short," he said. He put on his cap and ran out into the yard. He turned a somersault. He threw his cap in the air. "Hey!" the little boy said to the chickens and the dog. "My trousers are too little and my coat is too little. I'm growing too." I think he was quite pleased that he'd been growing too. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a really good story, wasn't it? So now I'd like you to do is have a think about how you've changed. Maybe you could have a chat with your grown-ups, or even try and look at some photographs and have a think about maybe how you've changed in just the short few weeks that we've not been coming to school. Or you might like to look back at your first day of school. I expect most of you had your photograph taken on your first day of school, and have a look and see how different you look now. Some of you might have had baby brothers and sisters, and maybe you could have a think about how they've changed. Now, some of them might be crawling or walking or talking, and they couldn't do that when they were first born. So growing is a really, really exciting thing that we do as living things. We never stop changing. So the last thing I'd like to do is share some photos with you. Now, I wonder if you can think who these photos might be. Take a look.